Hey everyone, welcome to the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream. I'm your host, Jeff Freeman, and tonight in Riding Shotgun, Tom Burns. Tom, thank you very much for being here with me tonight.
My pleasure to be here.
Well, I'll tell you what, tonight's going to be pretty exciting. We have a very special guest with us, Karen Publicover, and we're going to bring Karen on in just a moment. I did want to give a few shout outs to some of the folks. I don't know, sometimes it seems like there's a little contest to see who gets logged in first when I when I start the server. I think Mary got it tonight. She said hi, Karen and Jeff and all, and Wig Reeves is here, and Paula Steen. Hi, Paula. How you doing? And of course, Linda and Jan are out there doing their thing. We appreciate them very much, Linda. You guys do an amazing job, and I thank you guys so very much for all that you do. I wanted to say too, if if you're out there on the YouTube side, click on that subscribe button for us, and click on the notification bell so you know right away when we have new content coming out. You'll get notified, and supposedly, if the algorithm, if all that stuff is working correctly with YouTube, you get notified right away when new content is put out. So sometimes we'll record things and upload it, and other times just go live, and it might be at a moment's notice. If we have some breaking news like we have had in the past. And much of that is thanks to our guest tonight too. So click on that subscribe button for us if you would, please. And also, if you like the content of our show, give us a thumbs up. Let us know how we're doing. And that thumbs up also helps with the YouTube algorithms. I don't know. They look at all this kind of stuff. I don't know. It's pretty amazing, all the stuff they do go through to get all that done. Wade's here. Wade, how you doing?
Yeah, Wade's here. Donna McCauley's here.
Donna, hi.
Yep. Michelle, Barbara, Jeff is here.
Jeff's in the house. Oh yeah, we
Jeff's
got quite a few people already.
Jeff number
in.
2.
Yep. Jeff number 2. Yeah, John's here. John Edwards. Hey, how you doing? Craig Robbins, Anthony Castle. Wow, thanks all you folks for coming here tonight. I really appreciate it. We're gonna have a lot of fun talking with our special guest, Karen Publicover. And I tell you what, without anything more, let's go ahead and roll the music, and we'll get started with it. Hang on just a minute. We'll be right back with Karen Publicover.
This is Robert Clotworthy, the narrator of The Curse of Oak Island, and I have a question for you. Could it be that you are listening to The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream?
This is a top pocket find, mate, for sure.
All right, we are back, and our top pocket find tonight is our very special guest, Karen Publicover. Karen, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me.
I tell you, it's always a pleasure. And folks, for those of you who may not know, Karen has a Facebook page, and it is called Oak Island from the Other Side of the Causeway. And I tell you what, I wanted to ask you, and I meant to ask you this the last time we had you on the show, but when did you start this Facebook page, and what was your reasoning behind it? I mean, I think we kind of know, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it was back in 2017, and I guess it was just more, I don't know, making lemonade out of lemons, maybe. Because the Curse of Oak Island was a little bit of a curse for us, and I thought, well, let's do something fun with it. So I figured, well, if I take pictures of everything that goes over there and post it, I know there's a lot of people that are dying to know what's going on over there. And I kind of did it tongue in cheek at first, because I thought, well, they'll squash that, or they'll come down on me for that. But nobody's ever said a word ever. And then it just kind of grew from there. I think I'm 12 people away from 59,000 followers.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. It's like
it is. But I tell you what, and so how long ago did you start it? Do you remember? I'm sorry, did you?
17, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, they probably don't. I mean, the pictures you take are pretty much fair game. They're non-intrusive, and it's free advertising.
Yeah, well, that's so true. Like, people are excited about the show because they know certain things have gone across the causeway or come back across the causeway or whatever. So yeah, I'm sure it works for them too.
Oh yeah, and everybody likes to speculate, don't they, Jeff Freeman?
Yeah, I would never do such a thing. Yeah, I do a lot of speculating, that's for sure. Yeah.
Karen's got more pictures up. We have to go live.
Yeah.
Well, it was like when the Dumas mining, this was early on. I mean, I don't know, when was this, back in May or something like that, or June? I think it was early June or something like that. But anyway, the Dumas trucks went across the causeway. And I remember you, and again, Karen has been so gracious to let us share her pictures from the other side of the causeway to our Facebook page, The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond. And so, we share them on there. Well, Linda got a hold of me right away, and she said, "Jeff, had you seen these pictures?" And of course, I was working at the time. It was, I got a 8 to 5, so I was working, and I'm looking, and I went and looked real quick, and I saw the pictures, and I went, "That's Dumas Mining. Oh, this is huge news right here." So I decided I'm going to go live at lunch, and we're going to talk about this. So I did, and that's been one of the highest rated shows I've had, quite honestly, and it's all due to you.
It was pretty exciting to see something new and different, to come across the causeway. It was like, wow, okay, this right off the bat, I had to Google them. I didn't know who they were, but
I was going to say exactly the same thing. They probably never had their name Googled so much in all their corporate lives.
And they're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something.
That's the thing. And they might, I know I was going to say, I know they quit filming probably in November, about the time or just after when the show actually airs, which is going to be November 15th, by the way, for those of you who haven't already heard.
US.
Tuesday night, November 15th is when it starts. So, but I tell you though, like Tom said, when we heard about that, I immediately did the same thing. I went out and Googled them to find out who they were, what they were all about. And found out, what their business is of doing, the mining, and the way they do I guess there's a couple different methods, a shotcrete or the gunite, a couple different methods of applying the concrete to the walls. But oh my goodness, I mean, that just lit a firestorm, and you started it, so you lit the match.
But other than that, there hasn't been a whole lot of exciting stuff. We haven't seen any cans. I haven't seen any cans. No oscillators, nothing. That's rare. That's the first time in a long time.
I suppose if they're underground, there's not much they can do.
Yep.
From the top, unless they're going to drill vent holes or something like that. But they're going to be pretty restricted.
Yeah.
And with no archaeologists on the island too, it's going to cut down the traffic. So.
Yep. So that's the thing that, but that's been the beauty of your your situation, and also Oak Island from the Other Side of the Causeway Facebook page, is because of the fact that you share that. I mean, those guys are rumbling through. I think you mentioned what time in the morning did they start rolling across? Was it today or yesterday or
Well, Thanksgiving Day, which I thought, hey, holiday, 5:30.
5:30 in the morning? Yeah, and you're parked like 40 feet from the road right there.
Yeah. So it can be noisy. Sometimes those big logging trucks, there's no way
Mhm.
to sneak those across the causeway. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
No.
loud. So, oh well.
yeah,
So
it sure is.
did you see them taking many trips? Or like, are they hauling a lot of logs off the island that you
They
noticed?
were like I bet you 5:30, 4:30 one morning. The guy came across and took a load off. So he was doing that every day for a couple of weeks. And now he's over maybe once or twice a week, it seems like, and through the day.
Mhm.
I actually texted Carly and said, like, could he come a little later, like 7:30, 6:30 even? But the answer was no. First it was we don't even know who it is, but then they realized that, okay, it's a private contractor and we'll talk to him. And then they came back and said, he doesn't have any help. It's the only time he can do it. I'm kind of sorry. I'm, he's working hard. And I went back and said, we work hard too. Sleeping past 4:30 is not a lot to ask. So,
Yeah.
so obviously they did talk to him, and it's like he still showed up a few days after that, but then he started coming later. So
Yeah,
That's
I think some of the time that if they're dropping off to a mill or a pulp mill or a paper mill, their drop off times are predetermined. So you may have had to get that changed too.
Yep.
yeah, and
Yep.
that could very well be. I know last year it was the garbage trucks would come across at like 5:30 and 6 o'clock. Who does that?
Not around
So
here.
that took a couple of calls, and that stopped.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
so with all these logs disappearing in your kayaking endeavors around the island, have you noticed any unusual bare spots?
Just the area that's kind of beside the Smith's Cove up over the hill there.
Oh, yeah.
Looks beautiful because it's all it's all hardwood there now. All the other trees are gone. So yeah, I'd say a lot of that area, and then over beside Tom's place has been really cleared. That's where they were digging a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. So that was interesting to see that going on. I haven't seen them work there in the past.
Yeah. Well, we did see, and we've got, and I know you love the people that come over there and fly drones all over the place, besides the production crew. But we do have a friend that shares some drone, some aerial photography with us, and he, um, when we watched that the last time, we got a chance to see some of the piles of the logs, which I'm thinking is probably the logs that this logger with the log truck has taken off the island. They
Mhm.
had that one day you shared that picture of it looked like a machine with a big cone on top or a dome, like an upside
Yeah.
down funnel
So
on
that's
top.
still over there as far as I know. And I think there are times when we hear this really, really loud grinding noise, and I'm
Wood
pretty sure
chipper.
that's what it
That's
is.
that's,
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a
Because
wood
he's
chipper,
taking logs,
a
taking
big
us
wood chipper.
branches, and there he's doing so. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's seen it. Like from my kayak, I haven't seen it. So it's well
It's
hidden and it's huge.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the island, actually. Would we figure out what lot that was, Tom? We were
In the
talking
in the high 20s, I think.
yeah, in the high 20s over
Yeah,
before
pretty
between
hard to tell because the camera angle's kind of you
yeah,
don't get a true
yeah,
downward look, but
yeah.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
could
so
see the
that goes
pile of
pretty.
logs, we could see the pile of brush, and so they're chipping all that stuff up, and that's an industrial wood chipper, that thing is. So obviously they have a lot of work to do with that. And yeah, those logs getting hauled off there every day. That's got to be a lot of fun for you. But and that's like I said earlier, that's the beauty of what you do, and we can't thank you enough. I mean, honestly, for sharing this stuff with us and the public on your own, Facebook page, because it gives us an idea of what's going on a little bit anyway, and allows me to speculate the heck out of what's you know, but it does, and that's one of the things, with like I mentioned earlier with the aerial photography that we get. And we've asked this particular person to not be don't go over there on the weekdays. We have it on, several people from the island have reached out to us, or that we talk with, and have said that they don't mind the drones so much. There's not a lot they can do about that, but they don't mind the drones so much, but they would rather they not be looking down on the island when they're working, like Monday through Friday.
Makes sense for sure.
It does. And so we respect that. Not every Facebook group does, or show or whatever does. But they've asked us not to, and we're like, okay, we're not going to. So ours is done on the weekend, or when there's minimal people on the island doing what they're doing. And does it take away from it? But you know what? It gives us that Christmas surprise, right? You don't want to know everything, right? And Jeff's speculation is not
Yeah,
always
that would take all the
right.
fun. That would take all the fun out of the speculation, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah, exactly. I mean, we pretty much know what they're doing. We can't see underground what they're doing, but we are going to respect the wishes of Oak Island Tours and Circuit Trova, in that respect. So we're going to keep that to a minimum. So we don't do that. That's why we don't, we don't do that and get right above and staring down on them when the guys are working. It's just not cool. So anyway, with that said, I'll just continue on. But one of your hobbies when you go out in your kayak and all of that, is of course the sea glass, and then the art that you make from this. Tell us a little bit about. We talked about this last time, but it's so fascinating. Tell us a little bit about your collection and your artwork.
Well, sea glass it's hugely popular here in Nova Scotia right now. It's crazy how many people are into it. I've been collecting for years, but now it's big. Like, there are Facebook pages with thousands of followers here in Nova Scotia, and the stuff people find, it's truly beautiful, and it takes upwards of 100 years to make a really good piece of glass, tumbled enough that you could do something with it or want to do. I mean, some people pick up some really sharp stuff, and I feel like saying thank you for cleaning up, the garbage, because I'm a bit of a sea glass snob. But and once you've been collecting for a while, you get to be more a little more fussy, I guess, about what you pick up, and depends on what you're going to do with it too. So some crafts you don't necessarily need to have the perfectly smooth edges, but personally, I like the smooth edges, and sometimes I'll pick up a variety of colors just to show how many different colors of green there are out there in glass, or blue, and it's a fun hobby, and it's a great way to be outdoors, and we make lots of stuff, like you say, with it.
Yeah, you really do.
I have seen some of Karen's stuff up close and personal, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
I brought some home with me. What can I say?
Yeah, it is truly. I like the seahorse. And I got a picture. I was flipping through some pictures. That's why I'm staring over here at the moment. I'm listening, but I was flipping through trying to find that picture that I have. But I had to. And here's one. I'm going to bring this one up real quick, because I had to ask you about this one. Now, here's a bunch of great looking sea glass. You got the browns, the whites, and the green. What kind of artwork are you going to put this pincer in? That's what I was kind of wondering right there.
I picked that up because it was so big. I mean, we have crabs here, mostly little green crabs or the little orange ones, but that's a big crab. That looks like it came from it looks like an Alaskan king crab almost, but I just thought it was cool, so I picked it up. I don't think I planned it. I don't have any plans for it at the moment.
I saw that one in your pictures, and I went, "Oh my gosh, what's she gonna do with that one?" But that's so cool, and that thing is huge. I mean,
it is huge.
Here's the bottom of a
Bottle,
bottle, right? And then that thing is like the same size and going across. I mean, that thing's huge. Oh my goodness. So I had to show that picture real quick, because that's just amazing. That I thought, what is she going to do with that claw? And here's another thing I noticed that you were collecting. Tell us a little bit about the acorns.
Oh, aren't they cool? They're just so
Yeah.
cool. Those and the trees are just full of them right now. So actually, outside, Fred planted quite a few oak trees here on this property, and they're huge. So they're dropping, and you hear them drop. It's like constant. You hear this constant dropping. So, but I like them. They're very pretty. I haven't done anything with them personally. Years ago, I did some some wreaths and things, but I just picked them up because I really like them. And they'll all turn that brown color. They're green because they just fallen, but and they're all over the beaches.
Oh wow. Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah.
So floating around.
Especially after the storm, right?
Yes,
Wow.
particularly after the storm.
Speaking of the storm, and you and I got a chance to talk a little bit, obviously the hurricane just went through that area. And I know we mentioned this, we chatted back and forth right after the hurricane or before and after the hurricane went through.
Mhm.
You guys, right there in Mahone Bay, right there at Oak Island, I mean, you were spared. I mean, you didn't really see a whole lot
Oh,
of damage. Is that right?
we were so lucky. Hurricane Dorian was much harder on us than this one. We were blessed that it turned more. I mean, the poor people in Cape Breton and PEI and Pictou and the damage, Eastern Shore, Nova Scotia, the damage was extensive. Had that come in here, I can't imagine what would have happened to the boathouse or to the trailer. Like we're pretty close to the
You guys are-
water.
You guys aren't that far above sea level, yeah.
No, like 2 feet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a little bit more than that. We raised the boathouse a little bit, but not
Yeah.
not 8 feet, obviously.
No,
Right.
So no, we were very lucky. And when you look at what Hurricane Ian did in the States, it's just like, whoa. Storms are getting worse,
Mhm.
and it really makes
without a doubt.
you take pause and think, wow,
Yep.
not
Yeah,
good.
Yep. There was another picture I had, and like I said, this was just at the beginnings. I think this was taken. I think you took this one like on Friday, or I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's out my front door or my door. The door is 16 feet wide, so 2 huge panes of glass, 4 feet, and then 2 big doors. So there's 16 feet of glass and then a huge window above it. So luckily, the wind didn't come true north because that would have been a direct, but it was a
Greater-
little bit off northwest, I believe it was. So it wasn't as bad on the glass, but it was moving. And really, I didn't close my eyes all night. I was scared.
Oh.
And I was watching to see how high that water came up. If it got up to the deck, I was bailing. So it didn't.
Wow.
I had Whiskers and his carrier and his food and everything packed, ready to go.
Yeah, and the road that runs into Oak Island is not that far above sea level either. I mean,
No, and there's a
You-
spot just here on this road that has flooded when it hasn't been a hurricane. So,
Yeah.
if you're getting out, you have to get out before the road's covered. So, so yeah, it was scary, and we lucked out big time.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that, and like I said, and we know that Tom, us, the three of us were just talking in the pre-show there, and we were, I guess, PEI still has how many customers still out of power?
the last I heard when this was over 24 hours ago was still over 2,000 people or 2,000 customers. So
Right.
how many people that would be, I'm not sure, but
Oh,
you
the
can pretty
destruction.
safely take that times 2 at least. So
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah.
So-
it
it's just
sure
the
is.
size of the trees that were knocked down.
And the dunes. I mean, they lost sand
Yeah.
dunes that have been there forever and
Yeah,
were protected.
Cavendish.
We weren't even allowed on them, because
You weren't allowed to walk on them. No,
now they're
Like,
gone.
you didn't want to. There's certain type of grass. There's a certain type of root that almost makes like a web or a netting under the ground, and that's what
Mhm.
holds the sand dune in place.
Mm.
So it's a national park, and you weren't even allowed to walk on that grass,
Hmm.
and
No.
it's just gone.
Yeah, I saw a picture. I saw somebody had a before and after,
Mhm.
and here's this huge,
It's a
hill
sand dune.
of
It's a
sand,
sand dune.
sand
Yep.
dunes, and then like you said, it was level ground after that. It was gone. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole thing was. It's amazing.
Really.
It's amazing what the power of a storm like that can do. Well, we're certainly happy that we feel bad for the folks that are still struggling and the
absolutely.
ones that lost their houses out to sea and all of that kind
Oh.
of stuff.
It's mind-boggling.
I can't imagine. I really can't. That's yeah, it truly is. But so our prayers are still out for those folks and everything. But glad that you guys made it through okay. And I know
Mhm.
Tony Sampson logged in with us for a little while too, and he showed us right there in the midst. He was kind of doing the Mike Seidel from the Weather Channel thing, is standing
Oh,
out in the storm. He was doing his impersonation of a meteorologist standing out in the storm there. That was pretty funny. But and again, he was back up and running right away. And I guess the island, everybody on the island
Yeah.
was right back to work.
They
you know,
were. The
on
thing with
Monday.
Tony is he had to haul all his boats, and everybody had to haul their boats. So so then that's a lot of work and expense, and then getting them all back in so you can get back to work again. It's exhausting.
It's not just hauling the boat; it's getting it someplace that's going to be safe out of the wind too.
Well, away from
Yeah.
trees, which is hard to do here. We have a lot of
Yep.
trees.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a picture. You took this one not too long ago. Both of his Salty Dog Sea Tours boats were out. I don't know how many he has total, but there's two
There
of
was
them.
a third one there that day too.
There's-
I thought I
yeah.
captured all three at the same time. You don't often see them out exactly the same time. Usually they're
Yeah.
staggered, but all three were out that day.
I wonder why. That's interesting.
Yeah, the
'cause they were,
day that Henry and I met with them, I think he had 3 in the water at that time.
wow.
But again, they go at different. They stagger the time, so
Generally, yeah.
for whatever reason.
Right.
Normally,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll stop here, and they're like, so disappointed they can't go to the island. And I always say, go over to Oak Island, get on one of Tony's tours, and so and a lot of times they'll go by waving, thank you, because it's a great alternative if you can't get out there. I mean,
Yeah.
what a better way to see it. There is no better way.
Exactly. Yeah, I love some of these pictures, and you share such. I mean, not just the ones of Oak Island and all, which are great, of course, but also the sunrises and and all that, sunsets. That's beautiful. I mean, and I have another one here too. Let me see if I can find it. I just grabbed a couple. You actually have literally,
There's a lot. I actually
a
don't
lot.
do as many as I could because I don't want people to be, bored with it.
But it's hard not to, though. It's hard not to, though, isn't it? Because there's
know.
when you
I like
take
to
this and
share.
you see it and you take the picture, you think I
Yeah.
just got to share this. Yeah.
Yep.
It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
And like you said, I think it's very, the picture can never do it justice of being there.
Yeah, exactly. Gary Drayton shared a beautiful picture the other day of the harvest moon, and he actually captured a shooting star in the picture. I mean,
Oh, wow.
he's trying to one up me. I've got to do something.
Yeah, you better get on that. Get that taken care of right away.
Dare he?
Yep. Well, I wanted to mention too about the drones. You had captured this particular picture right here.
Yeah,
And you said there was a drone that was working at night, right?
we haven't seen that before. Not on the causeway side. I mean, they probably do that on the other side where they're actually working. And maybe it was just a test or something. But it was just kind of cool to see it. Rick had already left. Gary was gone. Jack was gone. I'd seen all of those guys leave earlier. So it was the workers that were over there doing it. And yeah, I'm not sure why, but it was cool to see.
Probably just for the show, as the guys working late into the night, that sort of thing.
Late into the night,
maybe.
yeah.
Maybe.
Add to the
I saw,
storyline.
Yeah.
Our Oxman drive across today. I actually heard a car coming. I was like, well, sounds like that's going kind of fast because I always worry about whiskers. And I looked out and it was the blue Corvette. So back in town.
Yep. Oxman
Yeah, Oxman back in town.
back in town. Yep. We know who that is. Yep. We've had him. Carmen Legg is a great friend of the show. We really like him a lot. He's a great guy. And I haven't met him in person yet. Of course, Tom has, and Henry
1,000 times, but
Yep.
I haven't-
Oh, he's a great
he's
guy.
probably- and I'm out there taking his picture all the time too. I'm sure he's thinking, "Oh, there she is again."
snapping her pictures away. Yep. Yeah. Well, you got to keep us all going. That's you're doing a great service to how many people? How many do you say you have? 60,000? Yeah. Pretty close.
Well,
to
not
60,000.
quite. 58,989 or something.
Yeah, well, we got almost 30. So yeah, so you're helping
Awesome.
a lot of people. But we have a lot of the same.
Oh, I'm sure.
folks
I'm
that are-
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, part of the same. But some of the folks are just chiming in here, and I had to bring up a couple of these. Lorraine saying that your photos take me back there every time. Yeah.
Speaking of
So-
Tony, I see he's watching tonight too.
Oh, is Tony watching? Oh,
Just
okay.
have to scroll down through some of the chat, and I see Tony's out there. So hello, Tony.
Hey, Tony, how you doing? We have your friend here on the show with us. Yes. Tony's going to be back one of these days once he's not so doggone busy. He's
Karen is right. If you want to see the island and get up close and personal to it, go out on one of Tony's tours. I mean, we were fortunate enough to have Tony himself on the tour that I was on, and
Yes.
they get you up close, personal, and great stories to tell.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, and I bought a little bit of merch from from Tony for that I wear the hat once in a while when I'm on the show. But yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait. I was supposed to go to Nova Scotia this year. Things just went on with the whole summer that just every time I turned around, something else was preventing me from getting up there. Mostly work. But it just came down that I wasn't able to make it this year. So I'm striving for next year once again, as I said last year. COVID came along and stopped it and everything. But Tony has I want to go on a Salty Dog Sea tour. That's a must have. And I have to come by and meet you as well, Karen. I tell you that you've been such a good friend, and I really appreciate
Thank you.
all you do and everything. So I was just scrolling back, looking at some of the other comments that have been made here. While I do that, I wanted to ask you now for those folks, and probably most everybody that's watching right now knows where you have your property there, and they know that it was once owned by Fred Nolan. Um, can you talk? Do you feel okay with talking about any of you purchased this from him at some point in the past, and then
Mhm.
what all was there at the time? And do you mind talking about that just a moment?
I Fred, as you know, wasn't allowed to cross the causeway, and he wanted to be out there digging. And I think his family basically said, "No more. Like you've wasted enough family funds, for lack of a better
Mhm.
word. Um, if you want to go further, you're going to have to sell something." So he decided to sell this property, which was his museum at one time, and there was all kinds of controversy between he and the Blankenships when he had it here. He actually built it across the road at one point, and um, the police were involved. And yeah, like I think I mentioned, there were some bullet holes in one of the windows, pellet gun like marks or whatever,
Oh,
and
wow. Mhm.
it was he didn't have an easy go of it here for sure, because they were always feuding. So,
Right.
but he ran this museum here for quite a while, and and then he had to sell something, so he decided to sell it. And I think I mentioned on one of the shows, when we came to look at it, it was foggy and dreary, and the property didn't look like this. Like we've done a tremendous amount of work here, but
Mhm.
we're like, yeah, no. We're looking in the windows. What is that big concrete thing in the middle of the building? And just like really quirky. And so we decided against it. And a few days later, we're just sitting down to dinner, and we're like, we're going to be crazy. Like we need that property. So then it was a big panic to get in touch with Fred. And luckily we did, because another mutual friend actually was making an offer on it at the time. So he backed off when he found out that we were interested, and we bought it. So it's been about 22 years, 24 years we've had it. So
Wow.
the museum was falling down. Like the building was old, and um, it was quite a bit. We just have half of it there now because we had to take down one whole part of it. But yeah, Fred left some stuff behind, and which we've taken and tried to get preserved. Or right now we have it all in storage just to see what we can do. But um, he glued things to wooden or to old doors and things, so it's not easy to work with. It's it's difficult to take
I
it
have a couple of
storage
pictures.
space.
Here's one here. I think this was a picture that, or a frame that he put together, right?
Yeah,
This was inside there? Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So the minute you open that up, that falls apart. So yeah, it's just we're paying for storage space for it, but it's too, it's old. I'm sure it's very valuable, and you don't want to lose it. But
Right.
there was a time when the guys were interested in taking it and trying to preserve it, but again, it's not an easy task.
Right. I can imagine. Yeah, there's such wonderful stuff there. And then there was also the picture of, and this was kind of interesting because just this year, earlier this year, lot 5 was sold. Uh,
Yeah,
and this is a picture of Mr. Young there. And that stone that everybody has been asking about it. We get quite a few people asking about this stone. I've have you ever seen this stone? I mean, besides in the photograph?
I haven't. My husband saw it because he had it
Okay.
in his living room for quite a while. But so no, I've seen the photograph, but and I've got a better picture of it, actually, a close-up picture, and it's pretty cool. It's a very interesting rock. Like I don't know the history of it, but I do know that it set his metal detector off like crazy. So he thought it was worth something. He thought there was gold in it, I guess. Yeah, that's a really good picture of it. So he took it home. Like first he hired Brinks to come and get it and take it to geologists here in Nova Scotia, and I'm sure they were laughing when Brinks pulls up with this humongous rock, and so they're like, sorry, no, there's nothing here. It's not valuable. But who knows? Maybe they should cut it.
I think it's valuable regardless of just being a stone with these carvings on it, and it was on Oak
I
Island.
know.
Yeah.
It's
Different, isn't it?
very different. I mean, I've never seen any more like it or anything even similar. So
Yeah, it's amazing. I would love to just be able to examine that for a whole day. One day, give me one day just to examine it from top to bottom, with a magnifying glass and just have at it. Oh my goodness!
okay, this came back.
Oh, there,
No, Whiskers came in.
Whiskers came in. All right, good deal.
There was a
He was on
Yeah,
the
there was-
lamp for a bit. I was worried.
there was a search going on pre-show there for a while.
Yeah.
There was.
So I know that also you love to go out and brave the elements and go out in your kayak and go around the island. I know now most of these excursions are out to be going out and picking up sea glass, I would imagine, right?
Well, not always. I sometimes just for the exercise, number one, and to get some pictures for my peeps, number two, and I try not to go when it's because I'm always alone. So although I've gone with a couple of friends, and I don't think they'll ever kayak again, but it got pretty rough.
Oh,
Actually, one particular day, because it can blow up pretty quickly.
mhm.
But I'm pretty much a fair weather kayaker, and I mean, this morning it was so foggy you couldn't even see the island. I wanted to go out there, but
Wow.
really, I mean, by lunchtime the wind's up a little bit and it's too late. But yeah, so I tend to try and pick and choose a little bit, and I always think, oh, I'll just go around as far as Smith's Cove, and then I'm that far. I'm like, well, same distance back as it is, keep going, so I'm gonna keep going. So yeah, I go around the island a lot.
Yeah, I would too, honestly. I have my kayak. I love taking it out. I really do. And you're right. It's great exercise.
And I
Um,
crossed a frog. I mean, it's a bit of a haul. And by yourself, it's probably not smart. And I mentioned that to Tony. He's probably chuckling right now because he's like, there are a lot of sharks out there. So I changed my mind. But
yeah, I think that would keep. I don't know the whole thing with the sharks. Yeah, because in a kayak, I mean, I'm pretty stable in my kayak. I mean, I've
yeah,
gotten
me too.
used to, so my fear of flipping it is not great if the weather is calm. If it gets rough, then yeah, you might have a chance of flipping it, and then you're shark bait at that point. Yeah,
Well, that another boat may not see you, right? I
right.
mean, it's just a small
That's a very good
kayak.
point.
It's not a sea kayak or anything. So,
Right.
so yeah, it can be dangerous because they're hard to see. So
Yep.
yeah, don't want
So,
to get run.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, this particular picture you took when you were coming around from the swamp there on the south side of the swamp, and it shows the interesting thing is this is still when there was still a little bit of water in there, and of course you got the hose running across. I was speculating as to why. First of all, why were they draining it? Were they using the water, or were they actually going to do some investigation in the swamp?
There's a Gearhart truck that goes across every day, usually at least once a day, with water. It's got a big jug on the back and it's full of water.
Mhm.
So they take water over there. I don't think they'd use that water. I think in the swamp is pretty brackish, so it's a mixture of salt and fresh. You wouldn't use that in a lot of equipment because obviously it would
Right.
cause issues. But so
Right.
yeah, it's I'm not sure. And I was surprised to hear the pumps running and see those pipes there after the hurricane, because obviously we took on quite a bit of water.
Mhm.
It doesn't seem like anybody's working in the swamp. I don't think our buddy Tony's been diving in there. Although you
No,
probably
yeah, Tony, yeah. Well, one of the latest drone footage that we saw that we had we were given, it was showing there is some work going on now. At first, we were wondering because again the pictures were like this. They had
Mhm.
drained it out completely, and you could then the stone road that's in the southeast corner of the swamp was exposed, but there was actually an excavator out there working.
Oh,
So they are
okay.
working, or they were at least in this particular picture, they were actually working out there in the swamp. Now, again, there goes the speculation as to why. What are they doing out there? Why the interest in the swamp all of a sudden again? And I,
Yeah. And
you
why
know,
this late in the year?
and this late in the year.
And
And
I
don't
feel
they have to have permits too, right? So I'm sorry, Karen, what was that?
feel sorry for Tom Nolan sometimes because when I do kayak around, or even when we go around in our boat, I'm the smell when they're in there working. They're
Mm.
riling that old. It smells so bad, and he's got a beautiful deck and a nice big sitting area outside. I'm like, ooh, I can't.
And which way does the wind generally blow there?
The good news is they don't usually work on the weekends, and that's normally when he's there.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
but it does smell pretty
Yeah.
bad.
Stirring up that old swamp muck would not be
Oh,
very
man.
pleasant.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, we have a lot of swamps up here in northern Michigan, and it's and I've smelled a few, but never saltwater, never that. But it's such a great preservative down there in that muck. Um, it preserves wood as we've seen very very well. But yeah, so they are doing some work over there, and it looked to me like it was in the general area. I'm not going to say too much, but
Not gonna say
it was in the general area of Nolan's Peninsula, and if you guys know what that is, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So that's what it looked like. So that's, but I'm really curious. Again, don't no spoilers, but I want to see what's going on, what they're looking for, or what they may have found in there for this season. I'm excited about season 10. What about you? Are you excited for season 10?
Oh yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about the? I'm going to ask you your opinion. I like to ask this of my guests.
Okay.
So what do you think is going on in the money pit? I mean, you agree that they're obviously tunneling with Dumas there?
Yeah, I would say so. And then just in behind the women's memorial there,
Mhm.
obviously it's set up there. That seems to be where all the work has been concentrated this year. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what's going on. And really enough with the hole straight down. That doesn't seem to be working.
No, no.
So it's time for something new.
Right. Yeah, we knew that they were doing some of the muon testing. They put the sensors down last year toward the end of the season and let them go all winter long. And I'm not. We don't know for sure. I think there was several points, maybe 5 or so around the money pit area, and then a few different points around the island itself. And of course, using that technology to find voids or structures or something like that underground. The assumption is, and the speculation that I was doing was to say that they must have found a void or a chamber or something
One
underground
with
in the money pit, and they're tunneling to it.
Mhm. I mean, that would be the obvious conclusion, I would have to say, but yay for something new.
I
Yeah,
know, right?
I don't think you're going to see a company like Dumas Mining hang around Oak Island for 4 months
No,
I know, right?
just for something to do, right? They're
So
exactly.
doing
funny
something.
that osprey built the nest on top of the crane, though. I thought that was
Yeah,
hilarious.
Yeah, I know. That was
That's just Mother Nature being in charge again.
That's expensive lodging for an osprey.
let's see. Linda was just talking to me here. Let's see what. Oh, no, I wasn't watching that thread. I don't know which one I'm supposed to be watching. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I've already met. Oh, what's this? Oh, she sent.
So speaking
Oh,
of weird noises and weird things that you see or hear, you hear the trucks going across the causeway at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. Do you ever hear anything weird happening, like at night, or sounds that you go, "What the heck is that? I got to go jump in my kayak and find out what's going on."
I'm brave, but I'm not that brave. I tell too many ghost stories. I'm really a big coward. Sometimes we hear like big grinding noises and stuff like that late into the evening, more, in the middle of the summer or whatever. You're thinking, what the heck is that? But who knows? Could be that big grinding machine that they've got over there chewing up. Who knows what's going on, right? So they always take those great big light standards over there. So they must be doing something at night.
Yeah, if they're making a lot of noise.
Although
It could be
did they go across this year? I don't think so.
Could be some.
didn't see
Could be some vertical tunneling equipment too, making a big noise at night.
Yeah, well,
speculation
if they're
for you.
underground, it wouldn't matter if it was light or dark, right? Outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're underground. It doesn't matter. They could work all night and do
Yeah.
different shifts. Now we do know that they have a big diesel generator over there, and they also have air compressors, big air compressors. Those are going to make a lot of noise, and you probably would hear the noise you'd hear from that would be the diesel engine running for the most part at high speed when they're really cooking up the the compressed air. And again, they're using that compressed air, in my opinion, speculating again that they're using that for either the shotcrete or the gunite, whichever process they're doing. I think they're doing the gunite personally. I think that's the one where they actually introduce the dry powder right there with the water right at the end and shoot it onto the wall. So that's probably what you're hearing. One of the questions that somebody had asked in the before during this week, we asked if anybody had any questions for you, and one of them was about a ghost person walking around. Or you had something that you had posted on your site about, and I'm going to look this up. But what was
well, there was somebody out there with a long white flowing something on. Was it a gown? Was it a coat? I don't know. But we were sitting with friends at the campfire, and it's just before dark. But there was a car parked over in the parking area, so it didn't just appear there. It came in a vehicle.
He drove there. From out of town.
Yeah, whatever. The ghost drove there. Okay, that's okay.
Had to use GPS to find the place.
Anyway, they walked around, and really
The ghost positioning system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was cool, and I actually had some minor surgery on my leg, so I couldn't run when I heard the equipment coming. So our friends were at the campfire. I'm like, run, you have to get a picture of that. Like anytime I heard something, they didn't stay long. Anyway, yeah, I'm like, faster. So a lot of those pictures were taken by other people, but my girlfriend actually took the picture of the ghost. And somebody said, how ridiculous is that to get married on Oak Island? But I don't think it was a bride. Anyway, they walked around to lot 25, and then they kind of went up in the woods, which surprised me because it's getting pretty dark. I can just see the white person. There was somebody in dark clothing there as well. But so eventually they did leave. But whatever was going on there, it's weird.
Yeah,
so Henry DeWitt, if you're listening, we need some history on lot 25.
Yes.
That was the one that David Tobias owned that I had listed at the point. Yeah.
Yep. You ever thought about buying one of the lots? Can't get them now. They're too expensive. I would.
No, well, we were supposed to get a lot. We had a deal with Fred that he was going to sell us a lot at a pretty reasonable rate because we went through quite a nightmare with our property here. So Fred's paperwork was not always accurate. Anyway, others have. Robert Young ran into it when he tried to sell the little island. We had to vouch for him because the paperwork was not correct. And even when his lot 5 went up for sale, again, we had to vouch for Robert because Fred's paperwork was not 100%. So yeah, and Fred's trying to, in conversation said, why don't I sell you? I think it was lot 8. And that we kind of had a gentleman's agreement on that, but that didn't happen. So yeah, a little bit of interesting history there.
Yeah. Wow.
But I was scared. In any case, I didn't really want it. My husband really, really, really wanted it. And in hindsight, I wish we had it, but based on what Robert sold for. But I heard so many ghost stories, and I'm a little bit superstitious, so I don't think I would have slept there. I would have been like Fred, never spend a night there.
So have you, I mean, besides this, and that was Jacqueline that asked that question about the ghost walking around on the island. Have you seen anything else that you would say was, kind of put you on edge as far as spooky type stuff?
No, we hear weird noises sometimes, but we have a lot of animals that make weird noises. So I'm one that's been screaming in the night, and we actually recorded it and Googled it, and it's turns out it's called a fisher, which is a member of the weasel family, but it sounds like a cross between a wildcat and a really angry raccoon.
Oh, wow.
Again, I was worried about the cat.
Mhm.
So yeah, they can be aggressive apparently, and we do hear him occasionally. So that's why Whiskers is always inside at night.
Yeah.
And we had a massive owl here a few weeks ago. Massive, the biggest owl I've ever seen. And
Really?
he was sitting in Fred's oak tree right beside our trailer, and he was making this weird noise. And I woke my husband up. I said, "He's calling Whiskers."
Yeah. It sound like your kitty.
Owls
It
are
sound like
calling
your kitty.
Anyway, so I haven't seen any ghosts, but
Yeah. Somebody said, "Oh, well, good," because Linda was asking, does the
yeah,
ghost only stay on the island? It cannot cross the causeway.
honestly, that's what I've convinced myself.
Got to stay on the island. You're part of the island. You have to stay there. Well, you have that story that was told years ago by the little girl, and I'm just at a complete loss for
Yes.
her name all of a sudden.
Hmm.
That had that. It saw the French. Was it the French soldiers? Yeah.
Yes. This
Um.
uniform. She identified the uniforms down to the buttons and whatever, and so
Yes.
that was kind of creepy. And Dan Blankenship always said that there were night people. Did he call them night people, or that would come out of the ground every night and scurry around the parking lot over there? I mean, that's close.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
they
that's real close.
he said that he saw these night people regularly.
Hmm. Wow. And there was that fireball that David saw the
Yeah,
fireball and all that. Yeah, there's somebody said, so one of the Facebook users, Catherine said Irish folklore is spirits cannot cross water, but they can
perfect.
certainly walk down a
Take across the causeway.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's yeah, build a wall. Yeah, put a moat around your property. Yeah.
I'm hoping that they're kind of contained to that area.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. One of the other questions was I wondered, this was from Connie. She said, I always wondered when they were doing the seismic studies, could you hear the explosions at your place?
Just not like an explosion, just like a bang, like not loud, not intrusive, but we could hear it. Yes. Yeah.
And because they shot off like 20-30,000 of them. So I think
A lot of them, yeah. I think some of them they did in the winter though, didn't they?
That's an amazing number. Like, really?
I know.
How is there
20,
anything left to ground? Like, how does it not look like a war zone out there?
Exactly. Well, it's funny because you look at the swamp when it's drained and you look at it now, you can see lines. And I don't know if those
Yeah.
lines were created by the seismic. I think it
Well,
was.
apparently they were. Yes, that's the way
Yeah.
blasts were
Yeah,
planted.
because they had them all lined up, and now when it's drained, you can actually see lines there. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it only makes a little bit of the dirt on top, fly out. It doesn't, make a big
Yeah.
hole or
Yeah.
anything, but still, it's gotta be crazy. So yeah, and I had I did have a couple pictures here too, and thank you, Linda. Linda's hollering at me because I wasn't paying attention to. They were trying to send me these pictures when we were talking about your artwork.
Isn't she supposed to be here? I think she is.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
We gave the boss a night off.
Yeah, I get the Boston night off. Yep.
Okay.
This is
That's-
one of your pieces of artwork right here.
That's the one I brought back with me.
Yep,
It is.
that's beautiful.
Yep. I
That
was
is
running
really-
low on driftwood, but since the hurricane, I've found a lot of driftwood. So
Have you?
I have lots to work with right now.
Yeah, that's actually in my brother's house now on Graham and Ann. So
Oh,
it's
is it?
from island to island. Yep.
Nice. That's
So
very
now
cool.
you sell this stuff too, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So where can they find it? Right on your website, on
No,
the Facebook page, or?
it's just a fun thing. It's just a hobby for me. So if I make a few pieces, then I'll post them. But I don't have a store or I don't advertise them. And it's the same with my sea glass Christmas trees. Linda, bless her heart, has 3 of those. And
I have
uh,
one right here.
oh, magic. Is that Linda's?
Yep. You took a picture and
Yes.
sent it to me. I think this is hers. Yeah.
Awesome. And I could sell so many of those, but every one takes 150 pieces of glass.
Oof.
So, and not to mention the time to put it together. So I've now got a lot of glass, and this winter I will be making a bunch of things. But here at Oak Island, I work outside. So that means everything that's stored in the old museum comes out. I work with it, drag it all back in. At our other cottage, I have a shop, so I can work in there all winter long. So I make a lot more things then.
Yeah. Wow. Everybody loves it. Everybody's jumping in here and that's what Karen was asking. Do you say, where do you sell your art? So when you get a few extra pieces, where they would find it on
I just
your,
post it on my page, so any of
okay.
my followers would see it. And
Okay.
yeah, so
Probably get snatched up really fast too, I would imagine. Probably like
they
the
do.
tickets for the Oak Island tours
Yes, exactly. Well,
gone
not
in
quite
about
fast.
6 minutes.
A lot of people say, well, just keep me in mind for the next one, so I'll give them first chance at it or whatever. So
Yeah, that's good. That's very nice. So yeah, so but again, we really do appreciate all of that kind of stuff that is going on. Now you said, you mentioned that, you sent a picture just the other day, and we love to see Maddie Blake. Maddie Blake is another friend of the show. He's been on. He's actually coming on again. I don't know if we made this announcement yet or not. He's going to be on here in a couple weeks, folks. We're going to have Maddie Blake on the show. um, excuse me. But now you get the rare privilege to watch Maddie Blake at work, standing out on the causeway with everything happening. Right? Is that?
a lot. A lot. Yep,
Yep.
Maddie's back on the causeway.
Yep. And he's got his crew out there, his sound guy, his camera guys, and he's got. If we've seen a picture of it, this
Flying
one
the
is.
drone around.
Yeah, the
Oh,
drones flying around and getting all the pictures
the
all the
big
time and everything.
reflective, the white screen or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And just a week or so ago, there was somebody out there, but they were closer to the island, and I couldn't actually see if it was Maddie. And I was like, huh. It was a very Maddie-like clip that they were doing. So I don't know if he was back or I didn't see him. But it could have been. Anyways, on the show, somebody's going to be filmed on the causeway. If it's not Maddie, it's whoever that was. But
Yeah. Well, we know he was because we just saw the episode last night that aired. It was showing the top 10
Top 10 suspects.
suspects. Yes. Most
okay.
likely suspects. So it was who could have buried treasure, on Oak Island, who could have put something there. So that's what it was. Yeah, thank you. That's what it was about. And we saw Maddie was walking down the causeway, filming and talking like he usually does. For that. So that might have been, I mean, who's to say when they film this kind of stuff? It could be just before they actually goes on the air, that
Could
kind of
be.
stuff.
Don't know.
That's what's got to be interesting for you, to be able to see that going on over there. And then, of course, the drone flying within, swatting distance of your
Oh,
room.
so close, so close. Our friends actually had their boat on the end of our wharf all summer, and he said I could have hit that drone with my paddle if I wanted to. I'm like, oh, that's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
That's too close.
Yeah. They got to show every time somebody important shows up, like the Oxman shows up on the island. They got to get that video of him pulling across the causeway, maybe 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times,
3 or
yeah.
4 times. No. 30, 40 times.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Heavens. There were 2 days there. It was ridiculous.
I mean, you can't. How many takes do you need on driving a car across the causeway?
It was crazy. And most of the other takes are done with just one of the crew.
Right.
Like when you see these vehicles going across, there's not always a celebrity in them. There's a lot of times it's one of the crew and it's back and forth and back and forth. But I guess Oxman doesn't let anybody drive his car because it's
Heck
always
no, it's Corvette. Little seats. Once that seat fits your body, nobody else can get in there because it'll just mess things up, you know.
apparently. So yeah, he spends a lot of time going back and forth, and the only ones that are even close to that are the Dumas crowd. They spend a lot of time going back and forth and back.
Well,
and
yeah,
They were
you
going
know,
back and forth at the day that Henry and I were there talking to you. They were setting up and they were shooting those guys driving back and forth like they just got there and they'd probably already been there like 3 or 4 weeks.
at least, and they arrived on flatbeds, the truck. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's different.
yeah, that's for sure. Well, I tell you what, like I said, we really appreciate you sharing all that stuff with us. It's truly wonderful that you do that. You know, and put that out there for us, and let us, you know, put it on our Facebook page as well. Got any funny stories of anybody that you want to share? Any that
Oh, you should have gave me a little warning.
Oh, I know, I should have. I meant to bring it up in the pre-show when we were talking. I meant to bring it up and I forgot. But yeah,
Actually, you asked about a ghost story, and we were out there one night with a ghost detector, and it literally said on the apparatus "ghost detector." So, and
Oh, there you go.
we took a couple of pictures. It was when the Restall Monument was down really close to Smith's Cove, and you know, there's one of me posing on the top, and my friends are there, and there was something white in the background when the pictures were developed, and that's back when the pictures were developed. You know,
wow.
before digital.
Yeah, before before we had our cell phones taking all of our pictures.
Exactly. So
Wow.
so that was kind of creepy, and I'm like, no, that's like a cobweb in the trees or something. You're getting some flashback because there were flashes back then. And but no, my girlfriend's quite convinced it was a ghost.
Wow.
There's been a lot of people off
Wow.
and on that island over the years. Who knows?
Well, that's
Yeah.
just it. A lot of spirits over there, I'm thinking.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and
Not
that's very
happy.
true. I mean, you know, and then you talk about sometimes, you know, and again, here we go. We're getting close to Halloween with our ghost stories, right? But, you know,
Yeah.
you talk about the fact that there has been bones. A lot of times you think about the fact that if someone has died tragically or under a great duress, um, they would, you know, more likely that their spirit would be unsettled. Um, that's what the theory is anyway.
Mhm,
There's no proof of
for
that, of
sure.
course. But then you find there was the bones that were found down deep in the money pit. They found in the spoils. These two bones that were found, what, 100 and some, yeah, John just brought that up. He said the same thing. The bones that were found in the money pit. So why would there be bones in the money pit? Well, you know, obviously people either died down there when they were doing the digging of it, or they died and they were left back there. Their bodies were left down there for whatever reason. It's hard to see, and you can speculate about something like that all day long. But when you have bones like that, and there's no graves that have ever been found on the island, to my knowledge, right? I don't know of
Not
any.
I think most of the graves are off island, just off island. When you get to the end
Yep,
of the Cranville Road, there's multiple graveyards along that whole stretch there.
right. So nobody that we know of was officially buried there, but yet there's these bones that were found 110, 120 feet underground. So could that create any kind of a spirit that might be at, you know, unrest, walking around? I don't know, who knows? They might not be too happy if they were left down there, chained down there.
yeah.
Hard to say.
Well, one of the guys that had the lot out there where they're digging now, maybe they'll find more bones, but he said that he saw something in white come out, go down over that hill and go across Fred's wharf and down to the float. And he went running down. He thought it was his wife, and
Oh
there was
wow.
nothing there. So he came back up and he opens the trailer door and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's putting the kids to bed. You know what? He said, "I just saw you go down to the wharf in a long flowing dress." Yeah, so she obviously thought he was nuts or
Have
drunk.
another drink.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, so they told me that story one night when they came here, and I'm like, oh, okay. That's creepy.
Yeah, certainly. Wow, that's a great story.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and there's been people that have said that they've heard sounds. Even Maddie Blake was out there one time, and he was with I don't remember the guy's name now for the life of me, but he was out there. He's been on other TV shows as a ghost hunter or a detective of the paranormal, and
Yeah.
they were out there together, and they heard there's people that said they've heard voices down around 10x even. So hard to say.
Might have been the night we were out there.
Maybe, yeah.
You would have heard screaming.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there was somebody said something about it was Rick and Marty were out on the island. This was back in their early days. And Marty told a story about when they got out of the truck. It was at nighttime. They were on the island doing, whatever work or whatever, wrapping up. They were getting ready to leave. And Rick left Marty for a little while in a particular place, and Marty had heard some things that he said actually frightened the heck out of him.
Well, he actually said that, this ghost thing is, Rick actually told me the story. So he didn't believe any of that. And it was all gobbledygook and that's all bull. And he asked Rick to leave him out there. So Rick did. And he wasn't out there, like he came running back in no time flat because he had heard something. So who knows? I mean, like a blue heron, the birds make a horrible screeching noise. It's really, it's unsettling. And that could have been it. Seals, they make a really weird noise at night too. And there's a ledge not far from Oak Island where there were a lot of seals. It seems like the sharks have been cleaning those up. But so there are a lot of animals and that can make weird noises. So and then it probably was that, but
and you just add in a little wind and a little fog to distort things a bit, and
yeah,
you've got a very scary noise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. A large cat sounds like a woman screaming. Yeah, somebody's saying that in the chat there. That was Renee. Yeah. Oh, it's Brian Cano. Thank you very much. Who was that said that? Thank you. That's the name I was trying to think of. Brian Cano. That was Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the name I was at a loss for, Brian Cano. But so yeah, well, I tell you what, you've had some very interesting experiences, and we know that you're friends with just about everybody over there, and what a treat. We've actually encouraged people to not park right there. Do you still have the no parking sign right there?
I do. It's there. I mean, it's just to make room so that motorhomes and things can turn when they get there, because now with David's little sign there saying you're not allowed to cross, we still send them over. I mean, you can't turn a motorhome
right
in our driveway. Really, it's not big enough. And but sometimes if it's too busy over there or whatever, there's got to be room for people to make a turn there. So yeah, the sign is still there. People do still park there, but not too many. Like most people drive right across now.
And they turn them around, don't they? Even the parking lot, they make them turn around, and you can't even go in the visitor center right now, I don't think.
No, it's all closed, but at least they've got room to turn, like they can maneuver around there and say they'd actually ban on the island, which is why they're here. I mean, I had a couple from Denmark last week and a lot from Vancouver. I don't know what happened. There's a lot of people here from Vancouver this weekend, and they're really, really, really disappointed that they can't go out there. So I'm like, go out. Go out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, they got to turn around, right?
I'm not going to shoot you.
Yeah, exactly. I know when Henry said that, when Henry and Tom were there, Henry said something about the fact that he was afraid to even come get close to the causeway, just because of, knowing that it was closed and that you're not supposed to or whatever. But I'd go up.
Yeah, and really, I don't think I know that the brothers don't really care if people go out there and turn, particularly on the weekends. But David has an issue with it, so
yeah.
He's hired this little guy and he's been rather rude to tourists of late. So
is he still there, or did they clear that up?
No, he's still there.
Oh, really? Wow.
Still there, and really, I was gonna, take it on and I'm just like, the museum will probably be open next year. who cares? Everybody's going to be able to go over there. So
We hope anyway. Yeah,
I would.
exactly.
I mean, I can't imagine keeping it shut another year, but who knows?
I can't either. But we were kind of curious why they shut it down this year. Where everybody had high hopes that it was going to get open. I mean, COVID, not being a pandemic anymore and all of that. Well, they thought, we thought for sure it was going to happen, and then shot down again. And then we thought, well, there's the two different tours. The other one we had to know by May or something like that. And again, nothing. They said,
No.
nope, sorry, no tours this year.
But they're still really, really, really ultra careful out there. I think every single person gets their temperature taken every single day. There are a lot of cars that go across, at least 40 in the morning. Yeah. And every one of them gets their temperature taken. The trucks that are servicing it, they do. And so they're still ultra careful. And lots of them are.
They were. Yeah, the worst. I mean, the afternoon we spent with Carmen, and he got called away to go to the island. He was saying that they were, and this was June, so what it was like now, I don't know. But he said when they go on the island, they were still getting tested.
They're still doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and COVID's still pretty big here. I have to say, like during the thick of it, I couldn't name 5 people that I knew had it. Well, I could probably name 10 or 12 right now that I know who have it. So
the numbers are on the rise again. Yeah.
They really are. They really are. So here we go again.
Hopefully it doesn't affect them, as badly as when it first came out. Of course, there was so many people on, having to be assisted breathing and all of that kind of stuff. Ventilators and whatnot.
Brutal, but
I think the vaccines have really helped with the level of severity.
Yeah.
Like you can still get it, but it won't be as severe.
Right.
I don't know. My friends that have it, 3 of them had all 4 boosters or all 4 shots. So 4 shots. That's a lot. And sick.
Yeah, I've had 4. Really? Wow.
So sick. And young and fit and healthy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sick. So not hospital sick, but feeling pretty bad.
Like getting hit hard with the flu or something. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So who knows? Hopefully it'll be behind us by next year, and they will have the museum open time. It's time to open it.
Lorraine was asking, Karen, can you ask Rick if they'll let us on there next year, please?
Maybe just drop him a note when he's going by. Say, Karen,
yeah. Say, Rick, there's so many fans that are just asking for me to ask you to open up the island next year. Come on, be a sport.
I'm sure if it was up to Rick, he would.
You know what? I think you're exactly right. I really
he's
do.
a people person. He likes people, and he would definitely do it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure you would. Wow, this has been great. We've been going on for just a little over an hour, and I know it's getting late there for you and all, but I really so appreciate you coming on the show tonight and sharing with us a little bit. I can't wait to come up and actually meet you in person. Like I said, I know it was supposed to be this year. Didn't make it. So what I have to do is next year I have to go up like right away.
Go early.
Yeah, go early, get up there and spend, I've got the 5th wheel, so I'm going to park it there. Hopefully I can get into the campground early and just park it there. And maybe I'll I won't wheel it over to the island.
Yeah.
I'm stuck. I have to leave it here now.
You have to turn it.
Truck broke down, right? So
there are a lot of fans that come and stay for, at least a month, or one that's here for 5 months, and just solely because of Oak Island.
Yeah. And if I come up, there's so many people that I want to meet, like you. I just really want to come up and meet you in person. Alessandra, I mean, there's so many people that, and the guys that have been so great to come on the show. We've had Laird and Ian and Steve Guptill, and we keep trying to get Scott on.
Yeah. Don't forget
who?
Tony.
And Tony, yes, he's been on the show a few times too. He's been a friend, so I got to meet him. I got to meet Tom in person, and I mean, just so many people, and Dale Carney and his wife Sherry. I mean, just so many people that I've got to meet when I get up there. So I need like a whole month just so I can meet.
You will, because I can tell you, you cannot do it in 5 days. I tried.
You guys tried, yeah. And then I can also take my camo and all of that, and my little Z boat or whatever, my kayak, and I can sneak over to the island in the middle. No, I won't do that. I won't.
Yeah. You'll be met by some lady in a white dress.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing on my island?
Or Whiskers will find me out there somewhere.
He's been over there.
And Colin, yes, and Colin, I got to meet Colin in person. Colin Jameson. Oh, so many people, and it's
Now,
so I have to get there. What's that?
I haven't met a lot of those people.
Really?
Not
Well, you
really.
got to meet Tom and Henry, and I haven't even met them yet.
Exactly.
There you go.
Tom, I've known Tom for over a year now, and I've
Yeah,
never
a
met
couple
you
of
in
years now.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, the dog with the red eyes, Jan. Don't even bring up the dog with the red eyes. Oh my goodness. That's the hound. Yeah, the hound that supposedly roams the area. What do they call that? The dark hound or I forget now. There's supposed to be some big wolf
Oh no.
type
Yeah,
sight.
that's not around here. That's not a maritime thing. I don't think. I think
No?
that's
I've never
I
heard.
think that's a Michigan thing.
Oh, yeah, it might be. I don't know.
Keep him. We don't need him.
Keep him over here, right? Okay, yeah. Oh, that was Sherry Carney said we drove by your house last year, Karen, when we went on the island to meet everybody when they took up the devil dog. That's what it was. Thank you, John Edwards. But yeah, so Sherry Carney, and then when they went over, because they do that fundraiser every year for Christmas Daddies.
Yeah. And I
you
was actually going to try and meet them that day that they were doing the draw, but I think we were out of town. Yeah, I'm sure we were. Yeah. So yeah, Sherry, love to meet you.
Yep. Well, there you go, Sherry. So yeah, so great couple, and they're doing such a great cause there for the kids. Christmas Daddies is a really good cause. All the money goes to Christmas Daddies. There's none of it taken out for administrative fees or anything like that. And they have such great things to auction this year. We went through them all. Dale was on the show with me, and it's in YouTube. If anybody wants to check it out, just go back and watch. But Dale went through all the items that he has: signed cribbage board from signed by Rick Lagina, a signed picture frame from Rick Lagina, coasters from Rick Lagina that are made from the andrite, I guess the anhydrite, like the hard, like a stone type
Yep.
Stuff that he signed. I mean, all kinds of things. The hard hat that was donated by Vanessa Lucido from Rock Equipment Company, that's signed by Dan Blankenship's signatures on this thing. I mean, really, really great items that are being given away. So, really great cause. So the link and everything is down in the description below. And so is the link to Oak Island from the Other Side of the Causeway, which is Karen's Facebook page too. So you can click on that. It'll take you right to her page and you can see all the stuff, and then hope and pray that she's going to put something up that you can buy someday. Well, you got the winter months coming, so you can make a lot of stuff over the winter, right?
Yeah,
I know you guys are busy. All right. Well, thank you so much, Karen. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I thank you so very much. It's always a delight, and like I said, I can't wait to come up and meet you in person. Any
Awesome.
last thoughts that you would want to share with us?
I'll keep my eyes open and see if anything exciting happens, and hopefully it happens soon before we leave.
Well, and this is kind of a time when that stuff happens. They always seem to have interesting things happening this late in the year.
Usually September. Not so much October, but usually September. So I don't know, like all that stuff's got to go. I guess that's exciting.
Yeah, watching it all come back across the causeway. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Again, Tom Burns, thank you so much for co-hosting with me tonight.
No problem.
Folks, we got another show on tomorrow night. It is going to be the first episode. We are going to be recapping the very first episode of season 4 or 3. I forget what season, the new season of Beyond Oak Island. So we're going to be talking about the Atocha, and we are going to be joined by Mel Fisher, the son who is now running the show. He's going to be on the show with us tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern time. We're going to be talking about the first episode of Beyond Oak Island. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to this one and having Mel on the show with us. And again, thank you, Jan, for going out there and getting Mel. Appreciate that very much. We're really excited about that. But again, Karen, thank you so very much. Really appreciate it. And please keep the pictures coming and all the great stories that you share with us about Oak Island and all of that. We really appreciate it very much.
No problem.
Folks, thank you so much for being here tonight. And again, if you like the content of our show, give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate that very much. And don't forget to click and subscribe. And don't forget to visit Karen's site, Oak Island from the other side of the causeway. All right. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night right here at the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream. Good night, everyone.